of Indy. Live from Market Square Arena in Indianapolis, Indiana, ABC's International Championship Boxing. Marvin Johnson versus Matt Franklin for the WBC World Light Heavyweight Championship. And this ABC Sports exclusive brought to you by Carplate, the auto wax with a shine that protects. And by the U.S. Armed Forces, where opportunities for training and education are available to qualified young men and women.
Yeah, not anymore now. 15's fine. When you hear me say Matthew Franklin, you can go right to the locker room because I'm taking very little time on the air. In the on-camera thing.
The handsome sports facility in downtown Indianapolis, Indiana, called Market Square Arena. And we are here today as a native son of this city defends his light heavyweight championship. Marvin Johnson against Matthew Franklin from Philadelphia. Hello again, everybody. I'm Keith Jackson, and welcome to the Midwest. We've got a good, lively crowd to watch their native son defend his title today. This is one of those matches, I think, where you really kind of hate to see the man lose, because they've both been through so much. They have both fought their way up from uncertainties, and they have now come to represent their profession admirably and have become quality people. Matthew Franklin, the challenger from Philadelphia, a record of 22-3-2 with 15 KOs. You see him in his dressing room live right now as he is preparing himself emotionally. He's already ready physically for a great opportunity in his 25th year. For his story, though, real story, let's go back to the streets of Philadelphia for just a moment. The very early years of Matthew Franklin's life are hazy for several reasons. These streets of Philadelphia on which we see him walking have had a major impact on him. At approximately 4 to 5 years of age, he was abandoned on one of these streets. Later, gang activity got him in trouble. But as the years wore on and the influence of people became more involved with his life, Matthew Franklin started looking and found means of direction for his society.
So I kept roaming around the streets, trying to find my brother, trying to find where I lived at. After that, I just started crying, tears coming down my eyes. And I felt chills, and throughout my body. And I was sad and sickened.
Matthew Franklin was found wandering the streets of Philadelphia on June 16, 1959. It seems as if an unknown woman found Matthew.
And at the time, she took me to the police station and tried to contact the people who was my parents. No one came up to, claim me. So after that, I had went to what they call foster home.
Naturally, we didn't know his name, and for some reason, Matthew wasn't able to give his name. He did have a very difficult speech impediment, but he was, in a way, saying something that sounded like Matthew. So that name stayed with him, and I suppose because of Benjamin Franklin, the last name of Franklin was given to him.
Matthew Franklin knows another part of Philadelphia well. 3 times arrested for gang activities. At age 17, he was literally in prison in this forbidding structure, the House of Correction. Then one day, hard times enough, he sat down with his mind and soul determined
to find another way.
You know, I just stopped and I started thinking. I said, I cannot continue this type of thing. I want to try to get myself together. I want to be someone. And I started training in my cell. I made a bag up out of pants and stuffed other clothes inside there. I made towels up, wrapping my hands up, and I used to punch the walls. I came out, then I went to a gym. A gym is called Juniper Gym. And I came across a man by the name of Nick Belfiore.
At times, he wouldn't listen, a little thick-headed, but I knew he had something all the while, because he was always a good puncher, and he took a good punch.
Oh, can he punch? Some highlights from his career will prove that against Dale Grant in Philadelphia, a prime example of his ability. He stopped Grant in 5, and I mean stopped him. Recovery from pain, recuperative powers, massive asset for any fighter. Here in the bout against Marvin Johnson, the man he boxes today, Franklin took a dreadful pounding in the 3rd round of their 1977 fight. Seemed incredible a man could stand after this. Johnson in the white, ripping away, but Matthew did stand, and in the 12th round, with fatigue grasping Johnson, Franklin put him down. And Franklin stood as the winner of this fight. And he had his first title, the North American Boxing Federation Light Heavyweight Championship. February 1978, he retained his title against tough Richie Cates in Philadelphia. In the 4th round, Cates flattens Franklin. But to have turned away would have been a mistake, for Franklin got up. And he knocked out Cates in the 6th round. Another fight of note against the veteran Yaqui Lopez. 8th round action. Lopez looks the winner, pounding away. Franklin in the red trunks. Wobbly. But suddenly, here was that heart again. He took command later in the round, went on to stop Lopez in the 11th. These days, he trains at Valley Forge for important fights like this WBC title opportunity, honing his body on land that has been so large in American history, and such a far cry from those lonely streets which marked his early childhood memory. In the gym, he's a hard worker. His body is hard, his mind is resolute. Matthew Franklin has had a dream. Now he wants to realize it.
Winning this championship means more to me than anything. Say, hey, I was an orphan, and there ain't too many orphans really make it in this life, you know. They think that, hey, once you become an orphan, you're through. And I want to really show them that I can be 1 out of 1,000 or 1 out of 1,000,000 that can really be of some good product.
A personal moment with Matthew Franklin, who has now come into the ring. And what an exciting moment it must be for him, a crowd of some 10,000 people in Indianapolis, Indiana. As he came prancing down through the crowd, they stood to get a look at him. What he wants, very simply, the belt, the one that says World Champion on it. That belt, the WBC Light Heavyweight Championship belt, which is worn right now by Marvin Johnson, 25 years of age. We'll be visiting with Marvin Johnson and his wife and his career in just a moment as we prepare for this title fight. dramatic markings of his life that Matthew Franklin has had, but he's had it tough enough. And as he walks down the aisle to defend his title with a record of 22-2 and 17 KOs, he's certainly thought about this day for a lot of reasons. Let's spend a moment with Marvin Johnson.
He comes to the starting line, and the green flag is out. The race in Indianapolis. And it's Danny and Guy is quickly...
The Indy 500 has helped make Indianapolis, Indiana famous throughout the world. It is truly a spectacle of sport. But Indianapolis has many resources in this sports world, like this man, 25-year-old Marvin Johnson, World Boxing Council light heavyweight champion, running, training on the famous Indy Speedway. He's a native son of this city, yet he can walk the streets of this city relatively unrecognized. Yet he's a world champion. 1972, some people heard about it as he made his way through the Olympic trials. Marvin Johnson qualified at 165 pounds for the American team, a middleweight. He went on to the Munich Olympics and he won a bronze medal. And when he came back to Indianapolis, Indiana, he turned pro. As his career moved along, Johnson, undefeated. In 1976, after 11 fights, knocked out Wayne McGee, a man who earlier had beaten Matthew Franklin, the man who challenges Johnson for his title today. May 1978, another example of Marvin Johnson's fast-starting philosophy as he came out winging against Johnny Baldwin, put him down in the first round. December last year, his greatest opportunity as a fighter, as he was given a chance at the WBC championship held by Mate Parlov of Yugoslavia, the fight in Marsala, Italy. And Johnson dominated the fight. He stopped Parlov in the 10th round. Suddenly, in a foreign land, far away from Indianapolis, Indiana, he stood as a world champion, and the crowd paid their respect. At ringside, his bride of 6 weeks, Dolores, recalls the moment this way.
I thought he won every round, and from the very beginning I was very nervous, and then after it was all over with, I knew he was capable of doing it in the beginning, but I was just a nervous wreck.
Now being champion of the world, I can make some of the paydays that I've always had dreams about, and so that keeps me working hard in the game, and it will probably keep me fighting a lot longer than what I really want to fight. I'd like to retire and enjoy my family, spend more time with my wife. I'm gone all the time. I've been training away from her. Been married to her since October 21st and only live with her now for about 3 or 4 weeks.
Marvin Johnson's career of 24 fights marked by fast starting and willing competition, but has disdained pace. So there are some questions about his stamina. His current philosophy on his profession sounds like this.
Being from a very poor background, I had always hoped to one day buy my mom a big, beautiful home, marry a wife that I could love and raise a family as I was raised, but better off financially. And as I began to realize that, well, it became more of a job to me and a business rather than just a sport. I have always liked boxing. I used to love it. I don't love it now like I used to, but I still like it.
Well, those are the principles. Marvin Johnson and Matthew Franklin, 15 rounds, World Boxing Council Light Heavyweight Championship. You'll see it live from Market Square Arena, Indianapolis, Indiana, and we'll begin in a moment. Coming out of commercial, we'll go right to the ring.
Commercial and a promo, right?
Let me know when it's one. Give me 1 minute and give me 30 seconds.
Now the introduction of the fighters. Ring announcer Stu Goldner.
Promoters Top Rank and Fred Burns present this afternoon's main event. 15 scheduled rounds for the World Boxing Council's Light Heavyweight Championship of the world.
The referee today is George DeFavis. The judge, Tom Catterson, those two from Indiana. Judge appointed by the WBC, Juan Guerra. He is from Monterrey, Mexico.
Introducing the challenger in the blue corner from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, weighing 175 pounds, wearing blue trunks with a white stripe. Currently North American Federation Middleweight Champion, Matthew Franklin. His opponent in the red corner, weighing 175 pounds, wearing white trunks with a lavender stripe, the WBC light heavyweight champion of the world, our own Marvin Johnson.
It is a 10-point must per round scoring system. The bell will not save you. 3 knockdown rule waived since it's a title fight. The ring is 18 feet 2. And as we told you, there are 3 officials, 2 judges, the referee, George DeFavis, appointed by the Indiana State Athletic Commission, Judge Tom Catterson of Indiana, and Judge Juan Guerra from Monterrey, Mexico for the WBC. The tail of the tape, both men hitting right on the weight at 175. In the reach area is where there is some significance. It is a 3.5-inch edge for Matthew Franklin. The champion, Johnson, is a left-hander. This is the second title fight in Indianapolis. The only other one ever held here back in May of 1959 when Floyd Patterson defended his heavyweight championship, knocking out Brian London at the fairgrounds. The crowd, as we mentioned, estimated right now between 9,000 and 10,000, still coming in. And this is the second meeting between Matthew Franklin and Marvin Johnson. They fought in Philadelphia previously, and it's considered one of the most savage fights in Philly boxing history, and there have been a lot of fights in Philly. So here we go, round number 1. Marvin Johnson has never been particularly effective with the right-hand jab. His philosophy on boxing is very simple. When the bell rings, you start fighting, and he does that, which has sort of made the pace factor questionable, whether or not he has the stamina to maintain the pace he chooses to set. In winning the championship against Monte Parloff, he used the right hand very effectively and scored a lot of points with it, and ultimately rendered Parloff helpless. The left hand is used primarily from a power position of an uppercut, and it's considered by those who have fought him and those who have been around him and watched him to be one of the toughest blows that anybody at 175 pounds has ever carried in their arsenal. Matthew Franklin, on the other hand, has a tendency to arm hit, not using as much of the body leverage as he might. Perhaps that is one of the reasons that he's able to maintain a better pace through the course of a tough fight. But here in the early going, the champion has come out pressing, has used the right jab and the left hand very well. He goes ripping to the body. And one of the things that we pointed out in our small up-close and personal look at Matthew Franklin, he has shown in his personal history as having remarkable recuperative powers. The champion pressing the issue here in the first round. We moved just beyond the halfway point of round number 1. Johnson with a good stiff left to the face of Matthew Franklin. Marvin Johnson wearing the white trunks, the champion. Matthew Franklin, the challenger, in the blue. His best punch of the fight. Good left hand by Johnson. Neither man gives the quarter. They are both stand-up bangers. The right hand by Franklin was picked off by Johnson. Made a big sound, but had no effect. The right hand by Franklin over the guard of Johnson at the end of round number 1. The champion walking to his corner. And the cornermen for the champion Johnson are Champ Chaney, who trains him, Leon Tabb, and Leon McGill. They seem satisfied with the first round by the champion. Johnson was the aggressor, as he was expected to be. He came out pressing the fight from the very beginning. The attitude or the thinking of Matthew Franklin, as he put it, was to be the matador and let Johnson be the bull, to pick him off as he makes his march in, because that's the way that Johnson fights. Nick Belfiore, Joe Belfiore, and Jimmy Hayes are the cornermen for Matthew Franklin. 15 rounds. We have had 1 round, and the champion, because of his aggressiveness and because of the early scoring in the opening minute, may very well have claimed round number 1. The champion Johnson in the white trunks, the challenger Franklin in the blue. Johnson pressing ahead. Hard right to the body, hard right to the face of Johnson. Both blows by Franklin, both landed. Hard left hand by Johnson, rattles Franklin some. Remember, it's Johnson's hometown. This is the WBC championship at light heavyweight, 175 pounds. Victor Galindez is the WBA champion, having defeated Mike Rossman a few days ago. Will the winner, Galindez, meet the winner of this fight? Well, who can say? Somewhere down the road, maybe. No matter which man survives this war, it would be worth going to see, I'll tell you that. Remember the history of Johnson. He has shown in instances, particularly in his last fight against Franklin, this run out of gas late. Whereas Franklin has shown remarkable abilities to come back. And Franklin just tagged Johnson with a hard right hand, and the champion seemed to wobble from the hard right. Lost some of the sharpness, lost his ability to move around. There was a little bit of a slip in that stumble by the champion. Right now it is Franklin ripping away. Here in the second round it is Franklin beginning to assume command. Hard right hand to the jaw of Johnson. Franklin pounding away at the bottom. Brilliantly conditioned. Johnson comes back with a hard left hook to the side of the head. It was expected to be a war, and that's what it is. 2 stand-up, dirty fighters at 175 pounds, boiling away as we're coming up on 10 seconds to the end of round number 2. Hard left hand by Johnson. And the second round is over. a contest.
Marvin is pacing himself a little bit more than normal. He's not throwing many
Round number 3, you're watching live from Indianapolis. The champion. Oh, a hard right hand by Franklin. The first blow of the round is a short, sharp right to the jaw of Johnson by Franklin. Well, it's abundantly clear that they're just simply going to give everything they've got every minute that they're out there and see who falls. I can't conceive that these two men could go at this pace for 15 rounds. They went 12 the last time they met, and Franklin got the call as Johnson collapsed in the 12th from a combination of punishment as well as fatigue. Ricocheted off the head of Franklin. Matthew didn't blink, he just comes pounding right back. See the left hand to the head. Uppercut! And he rattles Franklin around with 3 left hands, starting with the uppercut. Along the way, at the end of this round, we will take the station break. Hard left hand by Johnson. That one missed. Less than a minute to go now in round 3. Again. It's a punishing blow. Half a minute to go in round 3. Well, I tell you, they're just loading up and letting it go. Both sides. There's that hard left, and again the left uppercut slips in by the champion Johnson. Approaching the end of round 3 as they trade in the center of the ring. We'll be back with more of this WBC World Light Heavyweight Championship fight after this word from our local station. Marvin Johnson comes out, winging a right hook to the body of Matthew Franklin. It was that solid uppercut that seemed to rattle Franklin by the champion in the 3rd round. First time we've seen him let it go. That is his prime weapon, the most punishing blow he carried. Showing more ability with the right hand than he has previously, however. The These two are so determined that the tempo of the round, the pace of it seems to ebb and flow. First one will bang away and then the other. Franklin seems willing, as he has in so many of his fights, to let the other man work for a while, and then suddenly he'll cut loose. When he senses the other man may be tiring just a little, then he lets it go. The right hand lead, of course, always very important for a right-hander facing a left-hander. Franklin hasn't thrown it that many times yet. Side of the head by Johnson with authority. A little while there. Big slap to the back made a lot of noise. Didn't mean that much. Johnson has dominated this round. Neither man doing anything fancy. They're not jumping up and down, bouncing around. They're looking to hit each other. Hard right, then a left by Johnson. Quick with power. This has been the most decisive round in the fight so far for the champion. Marvin Johnson defending his title into round 4. We go to round 5. I've got the champion ahead, particularly off the last round. Very decisive in that round. It's also following pretty much the pattern of their first fight, where Johnson was dominant early, and then Franklin came back to win in the 12th. I see no cuts on either man. Both of them showing a little puffiness, but particularly Franklin around the eyes. This is as good a professional prize fight as I've seen in a long time. Two willing fighters. And two game people. Franklin's corner trying to get him to make a little bit of a move inside now to become a little more aggressive. They feel that Matthew, in laying back waiting for his counterpunching and looking for the right-hand lead, is just simply giving away too much here early in the fight, as Marvin is really ripping him. He did it throughout the 4th round. So far, nothing big here in the 5th. But Johnson pecking away, goes winging into the body. not been able to land his power punch, the left, here in the 5th round. There's a right and a left to the head. The blow to the body was blocked by Franklin. There's the left hook to the side of the head. Champion Johnson in the white trunks. Half minute to go, round 5. Tough, grueling pace. Round 5 is over. Heavyweight championship for the World Boxing Council. The champion Marvin Johnson of Indianapolis, Matthew Franklin of Philadelphia. Johnson, your champion. They met back in 1977. Franklin stopped Johnson in the 12th round. That was for the North American Boxing Federation title. Johnson won the WBC light heavyweight championship December 2nd of last year, beating Yugoslav Mate Parlov in Marsala, Italy. He knocked him out in the 10th round. This fight is one of those where Johnson has a title and he elects to defend against quite likely the toughest challenger available to him. And the question came up, why? Why Franklin? And Johnson's answer is Franklin scores with a hard right hand, and now Matthew's starting to move in a little more, become more aggressive. Johnson's answer was because he's the man that beat me, and I remember it vividly. And now Franklin starts to open up a little here in the 6th round. Marvin Johnson, very decisive in the 4th, took the 5th, has the edge in the fight so far, but now Franklin's starting to crank it up. This is Matthew's pattern. He'll let the other fellow wail away for a while, and then all of a sudden he'll open up. And both men have a knockout punch. Johnson with 17 knockout. Franklin has 15. This is round 6, scheduled for 15. But as I said before, I can't imagine that these two men can stand this pace for 15 rounds. Hard left dug to the body. Johnson seemed to wince a little bit. Franklin getting puffy around the eyes, and there might be a little cut. 'Looking at Johnson's right eye, there appears to be an abrasion there, the corner of it. Seconds to go in round 6. 7. Both fighters with nicks now. Johnson has a bit of an abrasion inside and under, it seems, of the right eye, and the right eye of Matthew Franklin. Very puffy. Back in the 4th round, Johnson was able to get to Franklin with a couple of uppercuts and some hard left hands. Since that time, Franklin's covered better. There's the right hand lead, and it pops into the face of the champion, Marvin Johnson. Life story told to us by Matthew Franklin at the beginning of the day's telecast. Abandoned on the streets of Philadelphia. Found himself and found a career that's going to set him up, he hopes, for the rest of his life. Both men, to a large degree, represent that one basic in our society that's so very important to our society. That is using your mind and body for opportunity. Some blood coming down the right side of the face of the champion. Just a little bit, not much. A little bit of an abrasion. I can see the blood more on his trunks than I can on his face. Franklin now with a bloody nose. Right hand of Johnson used to be considered a slap by a lot of people, but it's got something on it right now. And it showed up particularly in winning the WBC light heavyweight title from Monty Falloff, and it's very obvious here today against Matthew Franklin. It's a hard left, and it snaps Franklin's head around. Less than a half minute to go. Round 7. That left hand missed. It's missed. Sagging back into the ropes, and Franklin swarming all over him after stunning him with that right hand. And the end of the round, and the champion able to go to his corner. Another look at it, and there it is, that right hand lead right on the button, and Johnson wobbling around, sagging into the ropes, survived it. Now the question is, how good are his recuperative powers? Can he come back after being jarred? First off his snooze. So here we go with round number 8. That right hand missed as Franklin loaded it up and threw it, and Johnson got away from it. He looks all right, but we're a long way from it. We're certainly not standing in front of Matthew Franklin. There's a good left hook thrown in there by the champion. So apparently he has shaken off the effects of Franklin's hard right hand that almost put him down at the end of round 7. Franklin unloading, nose bleeding, hard left hook by Johnson. Franklin indomitable right now, absorbing punishment. but dishing out more at this moment than he's taking. Very bad nosebleed by Franklin. Blood all over his face. Hard left hand by Johnson. Franklin comes right back. Hounds him back into the rope. Johnson looks a little weary at the moment. Another right and a left by Franklin. Blood all over his face. And Franklin standing there, flat-footed, throwing everything in his body. Hard right hand to the face of the champion. Another right hand to the face of Johnson. Johnson's in trouble on the rope. And down he goes in his corner. Johnson is down from an accumulation of at least 100 blows as Matthew Franklin, blood all over his face. Marvin Johnson, shaken, wobbling. The fight is over. The fight is over in the 8th round. Blood all over the face of Matthew Franklin. He really is so weak himself, it doesn't appear that he can show much exhilaration in the victory. Marvin Johnson wilting under a fuselage of attack. 144 of the 8th round. The fight is stopped by the referee with Marvin Johnson down in his corner, unable to stand up, unable to resume boxing. It was the right hand by Franklin at the close of the 7th round that really started the downfall for Marvin Johnson. Johnson almost down at the end of the 7th. As we started the 8th, it appeared that he was all right. And then suddenly, a fuselage, a barrage. Johnson went down in his corner and could not get up and resume the fight. And the referee stops the bout at 144 of the 8th round. George DeFavis stood very close to Johnson, took a good look at him, and waved it off. You see the blood all over the face of the challenger in the blue on the left, as we see it in slow motion. But watch the barrage of blows pouring in on Marvin Johnson. And finally, he just simply collapsed. And Matthew Franklin now has his 2nd championship, only this time he has a world in front of his championship. See the force of the blow. Tremendously strong 25-year-old from Philadelphia, Matthew Franklin. So the decision is this. Matthew Franklin stops Marvin Johnson 144 of the 8th round.
That's right, man, Marvin Johnson. The best night
We just about got this one stopped.
All right, some comments from Matthew Franklin as they're patching him up in his corner. We'll return to Indianapolis after a commercial message and a word from our local station.
He's bad, man. That boy's bad. Woo! What's that champion, man?
We can look at it better in the dressing room. I think it's going to be stock well. It could be okay. Let me get those off your lashes. You got to look pretty for the TV cameras. It'll be better.
You got to fix that.
What about an interview, Ned? Do you want an interview?
Yeah. That's fine.
Well, get off the phone and talk to me. In the ring or where? I don't know if I can get up there, Lou. Hey, Alex? Alex! I want him.
He doesn't knock him out in that round. He'll stop him. He would have gone the other way on top.
Where's the camera? Here he is. I've got it.
Messed up.
Monitor? Monitor, turn the monitor around.
Every time I fight that boy, he gets so hard.
Turn it around.
It's going to be easier after this. Yes, no more easy fights. No more easy fights. Tip off.
Tip
I hurt my hand in here, too. I hit him with about 15
David,
shots.
tip that up so you can see it, David.
Take him off. Allahu Akbar. I hurt my hand. I hurt my knuckle.
Right behind you, Jim. I want to show you the fight. Right here.
Allahu Akbar.
Matthew, we had your incredible story of how your life started for you and the dream that you've been chasing. And today you finally had the opportunity and you made the best of it in what I think is one of the best fights I've seen in years.
Well, I'll tell you, every time I fight Johnson, it'll be a hard fight. I think that he's the best light heavyweight that I've ever fought. Believe me, all you light heavyweights out there, y'all watch out for Marvin Johnson because he's bad. But I'm glad I am the champion because I started off doing a lot of wrongness, and I'm just glad I'm the champion of the world.
Matthew, you have severe cuts, as we see the dethroned champion there for a moment. You have severe cuts on both of your eyes. Now, were you afraid that the bout might be stopped? Is that why you opened it up there?
I had to. I couldn't hardly see. Blood was draining down my both of my eyes, but something kept on saying, go on, go on, go on. I remember Steve Traits from Montgomery County was telling me, don't stop it. You know, if you're in trouble, let's keep on fighting. My manager, Nick Belfury, and all my cornermen, Harry Rubin, Jimmy Hayes, and Nick Belfury, they all told me to press the fight because it seemed like Johnson was getting the best of me. He was.
Matthew, I know that you're tired, but would you like to see what happened? Would you like to see the magic moment that made you a champion?
I don't want to see that fight because it reminds me of the first fight. I don't want to see it. I'm just glad that I'm the light heavyweight champion of the world. I must go back to the gym and practice up more boxing. I must. I started off doing a little bit of boxing, but Johnson, he's just an aggressive fighter. He's good.
Matthew Franklin, ladies and gentlemen, World Boxing Council light heavyweight champion.
Thank you very much. Allahu Akbar.
Matthew Franklin from Philadelphia. Now let's have a look at how the fight was stopped. He very specifically said he did not want to see it, that it reminded him of the first Johnson fight. He obviously expressed tremendous respect for Marvin Johnson. It was a case of two men, two game men, who came out, did nothing fancy, exercised their skills to the very best of their ability, and it was Marvin Johnson who fell in the 8th round. And that makes Matthew Franklin the World Boxing Council light heavyweight champion. Franklin bleeding heavily over both eyes, in danger of having the fight stopped, released a barrage of blows that made him the champion. Every punch thrown, punishing. Johnson acquitted himself nobly, no question about it. It was just a matter of who had the greatest strength at this point of the fight, and obviously it was Matthew Franklin who had the greatest strength. But remember, it was a right hand at the close of the 7th round that almost dropped Johnson, and from that point on, apparently, Marvin never really recovered, and the desperation of the cuts spurring Franklin on to this fusillade of blows that made him the champion. So it is done. Here in Indianapolis, Indiana, Marvin Johnson losing his first defense of his WBC light heavyweight championship. Now what do you want to do? Do you want to talk to him? I don't know. What do you do in the show? What are you going to do in the show now? Tell me that. Send you back to New York? Okay. We'll do Johnson and then throw it back. Do I do any billboards here or anything? Do I do any billboards or anything? Just throw to Gifford. All right.